Hey everyone, and welcome to Serve the Animals. My name is Tanja Andersen, and I am the host on this summit. And today we have a guest with us. Her name is Kim Sudla. I hope I say your name correct, my friends. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome. Did I say your last name correctly?
Yes, Sturla, correct.
Sturla. Okay, Kim Sturla. Okay, perfect. Who is this lady? She is a co-founder and CEO of Animal Place in 1988, like 88, 9. Oh my God, 88, 9. So when Kim and me, we have a talk around this intro call, around the topic we get to go into that is called large-scale rescue of hens from egg farms. That was very interesting. What kind of difference she is making in the field with her team and rescue like a lot of number of hens. And that we will get connected with, and we see that was important for us to really talk forward around what is happening in the field and how can we make a difference so that the hens don't come to the point on the topic we get to talk about. So Kim, let us hear a little bit about who you are and share about this amazing organization that is called Animal Place.
So Animal Place, we rescue farmed animals, and it started in 1989. So we officially have been doing this work for almost 35 years. And we have 600 beautiful acres out here in the Sierra foothills in California. And we got pigs and cows and goats and sheep and turkeys and lots of chickens. And we have rabbits too and some donkeys. So we do a lot of rescues and rehabilitation. We do some adoptions. And we also do a lot of education, tremendous amount. We try balancing with that rescue work of saving individual lives with preventative programs to educate people about from where these animals came, farming practices, and more importantly, what they can do to prevent the cruelty, which is, as we know, go vegan.
Amazing. And Kim, where did your passion start from before you was co-founder and creating this Animal Place? Where does your passion come from? Where did everything start?
It's just born this way. I've known from the very beginning what I wanted to do was not just work to help animals, but preferably to work with them also. And so my background before co-founding Animal Place was working for a humane society, a large humane society that had a lot of active programs helping dogs and cats. And they let us work on other issues like fur campaigns, that kind of stuff, and animal research issues. But Animal Place, it's a perfect blend of my passions of saving individual lives, being in the company of the pigs and the chickens and the turkeys. It gets no better than that, while at the same time educating people about what they can do to help.
Powerful and so important also. So around the topic, Kim, why is this topic so important to viewers to create big awareness about?
Well, we started doing large-scale hen rescues about 10, 11 years ago. They're temporarily put on halt because of this horrendous global avian influenza outbreak. But what we do is we contact farmers. We have a lot of egg farmers in California, and asking them when they quote unquote depopulate, which is when they're taking out the spent hens, those after, they put them in those cages to lay eggs for about a year and a half. And then when their egg production starts decreasing, then they pull them all out. And in California, the common method of the white leghorns is they gas them on site at the farm. So maybe 1 in 100, farmers will work with us. And then we go in usually in the middle of the night, pull out as many animals as we can, up to 1,000 or more, transport them back to our sanctuary, and then the rehabilitation process begins.
Powerful and so interesting. So in the intro call, Kim, you share about like what you have created around this project. Can you please share like step by step what that was all about, so the hens is thriving today in your sanctuary?
Well, if we're going to go into a farm and let's say take out 1,000 hens, it's a slow process. So we need a whole team of volunteers. And it's a wonderful experience for volunteers, especially new ones, so that they're seeing firsthand how these animals are treated, how they're housed. And then they, in turn, when they leave us, they're wonderful advocates for the chickens, wonderful advocates for educating folks about why their morning omelet they should get rid of. So we put a team together. There's a lot of planning that goes in, probably at least a month. We get all the vehicles ready. We make sure we have all our transport cages. We drive a great distance, so we need to spend the night where we're going. And we keep that confidential for obvious reasons. Yeah. And then we usually get to the farm about 3 a.m. We want to pull the birds out while it's still dark because they're more calm. And then we want to drive them back to the sanctuary. And by the time we get there, we don't want it to be the heat of the day because that can be really deadly for them. Mm. So we get to the place the night before, get a whole bank of rooms that we're spending the night. We meet in the parking lot about 3 a.m. with all our transport vans and our stock trailers and our drivers. We get to the farm and we put on all our ISO gear because we want to practice good biosecurity at the farm as well as back at our sanctuary. So we have the booties and the whole, ISO gear on, and we work in teams of usually 3 people if we have them. And we go down the aisle and we have one person opening up the cage, pulling the birds out. It's a slow process because you got to scoop your hands over their wings. They're petrified. They're screaming. They're holding on to the bars with their long overgrown nails. They don't know we're rescuers.
No.
Sometimes we're working side by side with pullers that they're just yanking them out by the legs. And so that's what they're doing to take and gassing them while we're trying to very and compassionately pull them out. And then we have one person who's opening up the door on the transport cage, and then one person, they pull them out, hand them to the intermediary person, the second rescuer. And then we have a third rescuer who's keeping that door open and closed. We use commercial poultry crates because that's the safest way to transport the birds. And we usually put 8 to 10 birds per crate. So after we get one crate full, that crate gets taken and put outside, and then we fill another one. It's a slow process. It usually takes a number of hours.
Yeah.
And then after we've pulled all the animals out, what we do is not look in the eyes of those that we can't save. So that's the difficulty on this. It's a wonderful feeling to go in and save that many lives. Few of us have that opportunity to save 1,000 lives at a time. And some volunteers participate, but they can't do it again. It's too emotionally difficult for them to see that suffering and to know we can't save everybody. Anyway, we get them all loaded into the van or the stock trailer, and then we stage it out where that vehicle's leaving the farm and heading back to the sanctuary. Once we get to the sanctuary, we unload the birds right away, take the crates out of the vehicles, and then we take those crates into different areas where we're keeping the birds. So we had it's set up beautifully. So there's different types of habitats, different barns, different enclosures. Then we open up the crates. They open from the top. Some of the birds will, fly out enthusiastically. They've never flapped their wings before. And then other birds, most of them, they need help. They're petrified. They're weak. Their muscles have atrophied. These birds are living in cages that, what are the dimensions? I don't even know. It's probably the floor space of maybe 2 record albums in the olden days with record albums. And there's no perches. There's nothing. They're on wire. They're inside a shed. They've never felt fresh air. They've never felt the sunshine on their back. So when we bring them to the sanctuary, they're stunned. You know, they're stunned. They've never experienced, and to pick them up and let them stand on ground, on earth, on grass. And then I'll never forget a couple of the sites where there was one bird, and all of a sudden she was the first one, and she realized that she could move, and she just literally did a sprint across her pasture, and then she came back, and then another one just jumped up kind of like a helicopter. But they're weak, and so we have bales of straw. We have perches low to the ground and graduated, go up high. Most of them don't have the strength to fly up to a bale of straw. They are that weak, and so it is a process of rehabilitating.
Yeah.
There's invariably, maybe a half a dozen birds after an hour, because we're watching them. This is the joyful experience of all of a sudden one will be taking a dust bath, and the other girls are kind of circling around and watching her. She's on her side, she's flapping her wings, she's going dirt all over. And then, they're watching, they're intrigued. They've never experienced this. And then one will kind of join in next door. So you're just, for the first few hours, we're just watching them experience freedom for the first time. And it's also the time where we're looking and eyeballing which of those look weak and need to be pulled out and then given special treatment, whether it's fluids, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So, and then that's when the whole rehabilitation process begins. An interesting behavior that we see with every single rescue is what we call clumping. And because these birds have lived in such intense confinement their whole life, that's all they know, their security is being crammed in with the others. That's their security. That's all they know. So now all of a sudden they have a barn with straw on the ground and little perches that are just really off the ground. They don't know what to do with that. They stay on the ground, but what is horribly concerning, and this is what's so labor intensive that first week, is they go to the corners of the barns and they just clump on top of each other.
Oh my God.
And if you're not there right when that starts, which is before dusk, because we go in, and it usually takes about an hour per barn, is we're just slowly putting our hands, scooping underneath and pulling out those on the bottom, putting them aside. They go back and reclump, and then you're just doing, it's like this wave, and you're pulling them out.
I did not know that happened. Oh, wow.
Every single one, every single rescue we've done. So the timing of it is crucial. So we have to start before dusk, right when that behavior kicks in. If we wait too long, those on the bottom are going to suffocate. So it's just like this wave. You finish one corner, you go to the next corner. By the time and then you do that it's over an hour. As it gets darker and darker, they stop going back to that site. So if I scoop them up and I put them, this might be the 20th time I've done it, to that individual, and I'll put them to the side, they'll stay there. So it's a crucial component of the rescue for night. So we need a whole team of volunteers just doing the declumping.
Oh, wow.
Then when they're there, they go through 2 rounds of health checks, which are a week apart. We treat them for parasites. We look in their ears, they open up their beak, that we just give them feel them over. Are they, really underweight? In which case, or are they dehydrated? They go fluids, or they'll get special feeds. So then we end up developing a stall or stalls for the special need birds that need that extra assistance to get healthy. After they've completed 2 rounds of health checks and have now started to get their strength, and then they go into our adoption queue, and then we do adoption screening.
What is the process with adopt screening, if I say that correctly? Adopt screening.
Well, there's an application. It's pretty similar to, an application to adopt a dog or a cat.
Wow.
We want basic information about them. If they've got any animals, that they're breeding any animals, their immediate no.
Yeah.
Rest of them, we want to know, are they committed to the lifespan of the bird? If they have existing birds, who's the vet that they use? We want to I think oftentimes having chickens in California, or actually the United States, has been very popular, a popular companion animal for a number of years. And these girls, since they've come from egg farms, they've all been debeaked.
Debeaked, like the beak is cut.
Their
okay. Yeah.
And some of them are severely debeaked. We always call the news media. So the news media is usually there, not at the farm, but at the sanctuary when we're unloading them. It's our opportunity to educate the public about from where these birds came. And that is a powerful, powerful message that we can show with the most of the electronic, the TVs and that, that they can see it firsthand. And it's also the doctors. Most of the people that have had chickens have, bought them from feed stores. And the feed stores, little day-old chicks are sent through the mail from the hatchery. They're put in boxes and they go through the postal service to the feed store. And then the feed store unboxes them and then puts them up for sale. So we encourage folks, if they're interested in bringing a chicken into their home, or chickens, that they either adopt from animal place or another sanctuary, or go to their animal shelter. It's the same thing with just dogs and cats. And how many dogs and cats are treated well, have a stimulating life, that they're taken to the vet when they need to. And there is that propensity with chickens, because they're not held in high enough regard, not to treat them when they're sick. And we want to make sure that they've got some relationship with a veterinarian, preferably an AV veterinarian. So that's kind of the process.
That's good. What is the saying, Kim? Like, adopt, no, don't shop. Is that correct? Adopt, no shop.
Right, exactly.
So before, I'm curious to know around this, like, why it's so important when you reach out to organizations for them to adopt a vegan policy. I'm curious to know around, let's say I chose to adopt chicken. I have like a huge field of land and I want to make a home for chickens. What number is a good around number to adopt chickens, so they have like this like pack life? Or is it a pack animal?
It certainly can be a companion animal. And the number of chickens one adopts would be more based on what they can afford, because they can be expensive, as any animal can, with veterinary care. We insist that they have a secure predator-proof barn, and they have predator-proof fencing. So that is just crucial. For adopting chickens, or any birds for that matter.
100%. I believe, like in USA, I don't know if California, like you have like huge eagles. Okay, we have also big eagle here in Denmark. Some place in USA have like huge eagles.
Yeah, there's a lot of, when most people are adopting hens, some of them live in suburbia, or the city. Most people kind of live in semi-country. And so we're sharing our land, our home with wildlife. Yeah. And so a lot of those wild animals certainly can prey upon chickens. Nighttime, they are the most vulnerable, hence why they need to be brought in at night before it gets dark, obviously, and placed in a secure barn that a raccoon or any other animal can't get into. And then daytime, it depends on, somebody's at home, is someone monitoring? If they're not, better that they have an intermediary yard that's smaller, but it is predator proof. And then when people are home, they can let them out into a larger area. But again, it has to be fenced. You've got neighborhood dogs, neighborhood cats. My God. It's just not wildlife.
Yeah, good point. There's very like is very interesting. Like when I first thought about like adopting, it's very simple. And when I really like hear you talk, it's just like there is a lot of like point of view and awareness I get to really get into and learn about, because there is a lot of areas I get to know about before I just adopt a chicken.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand. What was the question?
So, no, I was just curious about the information you are sharing about, like, what I get to be aware about, also to the audience, like what they get to be aware about if they have a passion to adopt a chicken. Like there's many areas they get to, like, is there proof? Is there a room? Is there a roof of the heads? Can they be taken in? There's a lot of points I get to know about before I choose to adopt a chicken. So it's just like, for me, just aha moments.
And, you know, with anytime we're taking any animal into our home, and hopefully all the animals we take into our home are rescues and not purchased, that yes, there's a learning curve. We also have a fairly expansive chicken care booklet that I think we have it posted online on our website too. And that has a lot of great information.
Amazing.
You know, just
Amazing.
general common medical problems the birds may have, what to do about that. We've also done chicken care classes at our sanctuary. So it's something that, yeah, it's anytime you're taking a life into your care, a lot of responsibility comes with that.
True. And thank you for choosing to really be a stand and a hero for the chickens, Kim. I really appreciate you for that. So I'm curious to know, we did also talk about why it's so important when you, as me, as other, we reach out to organizations to really be curious and ask them about, do they adopt a vegan policy in their organizations? Can you touch base about why that is important for organizations to choose that in their team, in their organization, to adopt a vegan policy?
Yes, we have a global education program we've had for years called Food for Thought. And we initially reached out to SPCAs and humane societies and animal shelters. And we've also reaching out to other sanctuaries, whether they're rescuing just horses or exotics. We're also reaching out to environmental groups and wildlife groups. And what we're saying is, please expand that circle of compassion you have to include all species. It just seems kind of crazy to me that you're saving cats and dogs and you're devoting your life to helping them, which is wonderful. But then the compassion stops. So if you are, if you're having a fundraiser to help the dogs and cats at your shelter, and you're frying cows on the grill, or you're barbecuing pigs, that's just this kind of, it shows the powerful disconnect, that cognitive disconnect we have with animals raised for food production. So even those people in the animal protection field, even them, that their organization that they're working for, that they're serving animals at their functions. They're just serving other animals. There's no difference than if a sanctuary that rescued horses wants to serve dog meat, or if a wildlife group wants to serve horse meat or rabbit meat. So the suffering, as you know, that farmed animals experience in numbers, no laws on the books, and the degree of suffering is so immense. It doesn't compare to any other species on Earth. And that goes for land animals as well as marine animals. Exactly. So it is an educational process. An initial reaction is one of just kind of, they want to ignore. And we just kind of keep pushing it forward and forward. So we've got a database of over 10,000 animal shelters just in the United States. And we have a report card on our website. And we have think it's about 600 organizations that have a board approved either vegan or vegetarian policy. So it's a slow go, but it's just a wonderful, wonderful social policy program that we will never stop working on. It's the first, no one else is doing that. There's other groups now that are targeting colleges. Some are targeting, hospitals to get them to increase the vegan and vegetarian food. And they're arguing it on a different level. We're arguing it exclusively on ethics and animal suffering.
Oh, so interesting. So to the audience, can they come to your webpage and learn about how do another person or organization create a vegan policy? If the organization is seeing this or company, they say, okay, I want to learn about that. Hey, Kim, where can I learn about that? Where can people go to learn about that?
Probably the easiest is go to the Animal Place website, animalplace.org. We also have a website exclusively for the Food for Thought program, but I think it's easier to get there if you just go to the main website. And we encourage people to get involved, because if there's an SPCA in your backyard, they're going to listen to you, who lives next to them, then they're going to listen to us. Yeah. So it is a wonderful program that there's everybody. There's not a person alive who can't get involved in it. Animal shelters exist all around the world. But there's also wildlife rehabilitation centers. Yeah. And there's a variety of sanctuaries for different species. And everybody lives near all of them, or some of them, or one of them. And yeah, make a phone call. Hey, do you have a policy that you don't serve animals at your function? And then, yes, the website has a ton of information how to get involved. It also has, what I love is a report card. So they can look up their state and say, oh, why does my shelter have an F? What happened? And they can look at those shelters also that have policies. So it's a great resource. The website for the Food for Thought program is a great resource for folks who want to get involved.
It is. And where you can get that is going to their homepage. That is called, your webpage is just called animalplace.org. Is that correct, Kim?
Correct.
Okay, perfect. So I'm curious to know, why it's so important. The last point to touch on, Kim, is why it's so important to really educate people around the sanctuary's needs, so that you can thrive around your work you're doing.
Well, I think that as many people, animal rights activists, have said to me, that the sanctuary is it's for them too. A lot of folks doing this work, it's emotionally draining. A lot of folks doing this work suffer from compassion fatigue. So it's refreshing for them. It's rejuvenating for them to come to a peaceful place where they know they're with like-minded folks, and they can just hang with the animals, and they can see them just enjoying life, being what, it shouldn't be unique to be letting them live in a state of freedom and care, but it is unique, unfortunately. So the sanctuary is great for people who are doing our work. It's a great place for folks who are vegan and they bring their family for a tour. And there are no better teachers. And I think anybody who runs a sanctuary can say that, no better teachers than the animals. The animals can speak to what's going on far better than I. And so I can stand in front of one of the pigs and tell them where she came from, what her history is, why her tail, why she has no tail, why are her ears all notched. And when they see the animal and they understand from where she came and how she was treated, that almost immediately generates it. Maybe it won't transfer to behavioral change yet, but that's a powerful, powerful experience for them. Or if they get down and they get to rub the belly of the pig really hard and the pig's grunting in pleasure, they're seeing that that pig is no different than their dog. And I always like to really lead them through. I said, what if you took your dog in to get neutered to your veterinarian, and your veterinarian strapped the legs of your dog on the operating table, gave your dog no sedative, and then just castrated your dog right there. As your dog is screaming, what would you think? Why would you feel that way? What would you think about the veterinarian who would do that? It's no different than what we do to pigs and what we do to cows all the time by the millions. So I love using that comparison of suffering with companion animals and animals typically raised for people to eat. Because since folks don't have that relationship necessarily with these animals, that increases that disconnect. And we're just trying to bridge that gap so they can see them as individuals.
And it's powerful to bridge the gap. One of the things I really stand for and high recommend people is really like, as you also talk about, Kim, is really you are the audience to choose to be volunteer, choose to experience, like choose to see it, smell it, touch it, experience in a whole body experience. For me, when I'm in the field, it makes a bigger impact in my mind, soul, and body, so that I really can remember and making the actions, because my body is just like remember it so fast because I have all my senses working because I'm in it. So I really high recommend you to be a volunteer or taking out to animal place and visit the organization. You have like visitors, vegan, correct, Kim, where people can come to visit the organization.
We have what?
People can come to visit, like come to see organizations.
Our
like
sanctuary is open 7 days a week, so people can go on self-guided tours, or they can sign up for a private tour, or they can sign up for a public guided tour. So there's different ways people can experience. We also have a museum of animal farming on site right by the parking where people enter, and we have battery hen cages there on display so they can see firsthand what they look like. We have human-sized battery cages that we encourage people to step inside, feel what that confinement's like. We have bearing crates and gestation crates, and we have veal crates. And then we also have inside the museum displays. And we focus on pigs and chickens and turkeys, and then cows raised for their milk, because those are the species that really have the most intense long-term suffering. So it's educational. They can either just kind of go outside and look at all the displays of cages and the life-size models in those cages, or go inside and dig in a little bit deeper.
Oh my God, up to this point, I have never heard about that museum, and people that come to a place can really experience, like really step into a case and like experience how it can be. I have experienced that it is uncomfortable. Yeah,
we take it when we're tabling too. And not just one person get in the cage, but how many people can fit in there? And how do you feel? And we close it up, and they're standing on wire, and just a minute of it. But it is a way to get them just to stop momentarily and think about confinement.
It's powerful.
Any individual. And again, and when we look at gestation crates and farrowing crates for pigs, I have them, again, take their cat or their dog and put them in that type of confinement where the animal cannot even turn around. The animal can stand and the animal can lie down, and that is it. And that is where they're staying for years. People need to understand that. It's a little abstract when you articulate it, but if they can see one of the pigs, see their size and their intelligence, and then see the crates, life-size crates, and try to visualize what an animal is experiencing while inside that, that is overpowering. So we need those types of, as many visuals as we can to kind of push that barrier, break it, that prevents people from empathizing with farm animals.
True. Yeah, I would when people say here in Denmark, like the cows have like this beautiful field to go, and they're jumping in the grass, they eat the grass. Like, that is only one place in Denmark where that is happening. And it's because they want to show you that it's not happening other places. It's like,
no, and then with those cows raised for their milk, they take their babies away right away.
Yeah,
And
it
it's
is.
fairly arrogant of us to think that that baby doesn't want to be with his mom, or that mom doesn't want to be with her child. So it is, humans, we're not the only ones that have those maternal feelings towards our offspring.
No.
All species do. Especially, we know mammals, we're a mammal ourselves, so we should be able to better connect with and understand. But it takes all of us doing this work to educate the public.
Yeah, it's true. I get a question for, I believe it's like 5 years ago, from my sister, like, why I did not drink milk when I was vegan. Just like, okay, I hear you and thank you for your questions. And I was like, how will you feel like if I took my niece, like my sister's baby, after 12 hours, or maybe not 12 hours, like straight from the birth, you are in the bed on the hospital, and I'm coming to take your child, and you will never see your child. And my sister's like, that's a horrible picture. It's also how the animals is feel. That's why I'm not drinking milk. That's why I'm vegan.
That, and I never want folks to lose sight of that they cannot speak for themselves.
Yeah.
They don't have the ability to do anything about it. They are completely powerless. And that puts even more responsibility on all our shoulders to be the very truest and best advocate we can be on their behalf. So we will work on incremental change, but we never lose sight. We never not express that we're an abolitionist by philosophy. So nobody's going to be happy if we just get them out of the cages, but that we're still, gassing them by the millions or the billions. So it's a lot to do.
It is. And I'm really like, one thing is around the whole this amazing interview with you, Kim, is just like, I'm so blessed and grateful, and I feel empowered by listening to your voice, because one thing I really honor with a person I honor with you is you have opinion and you're not afraid to say it how it is. And we need that voices. We need voices that can push the barriers of what is happening out there, what is the truth in our behavior and what we are supporting, because what we buy, we support on the first process, on the whole run.
No, I agree. And I think that is exactly why one of my very favorite groups is PETA, because PETA's been on the front lines for decades, and they've taken a lot of hits from all sides.
True, that is true.
They don't, they do some campaigns people don't like, okay. But they have never been afraid to speak the truth about the animals, never. And I am forever grateful to Ingrid Newkirk, the founder, and PETA for their wonderful work. Yeah,
we need strong advocates that really are brave of seeing how it is and what is happening out there. And we need all different kind of sides of advocates to touch the whole human kind.
Yes, we do. We got to educate the public from every angle.
And we also, like, one of the things that I really have inspired my family is really like having really like meet them where they are and show them by my actions. And they have chosen to live more plant-based in their lifestyles. So they are eating vegans together with me, because I say no to eat if there's a dead animal, and it's okay if they're eating, I'm not eating. So yeah, to you out there, audience, like, I really invite you to really figure out, like, where do you stand? What is your standards? And really stand for that. Sometimes it takes time to come there. It has taken me like over 5 years for my family to accept it. Come to Christmas, less Christmas, be the lonely one, not eating, they're eating, and they accepting me. They're not asking, because we have been in the erection process of, they choose to judge me, I choose to judge them, and we just like meeting because they are my family and they eat what they eat. So I get to show them by my actions how a lifestyle also can be to support and to serve the animals.
Yeah, agree. I think it's kind of, when you think about it, it's kind of crazy that we're even having to defend or explain why we don't want to take a life.
True.
But that's the position that we're all in. And I know it is always that's probably one of the more common struggles for animal rights activists is with the family. But cooking for them, to me, that's the best way. It's friendly. It can be non-judgmental while you're showing them how delicious vegan food can be. And, invariably, I think what we see with families, as the families age and they're, dealing with all these medical problems. I mean, that's how it was with mine. Then they kind of slowly, everybody adopted a plant-based diet for health reasons. But then, I think once they develop that plant-based diet, then it seems to open up their heart a little bit more to take away the defensiveness of seeing the suffering of non-human animals.
Oh, so true. So to you, the audience, thank you so much for watching and choosing to see this amazing interview with Kim and I. And we both really invite you to go now after this interview, go to animalplace.org and really sign up to the newsletter, subscribe to all the YouTube, all the social media, and also get to know, like, how do you inspire people to choose a vegan policy as an entrepreneur, as a big companies or schools, like really, how can you take your knowledge to the next level and be connected with Animal Place and learn by heroes, learn by people that have gone the path before you, because you're coming faster over to your vision when you are together with Animal Place, because they have taken the steps and they are your bridge to come fast over to your vision as a strong advocate or a strong activist for the animals. So the last word for you, Kim, to the audience, where can they find you? Do you have the last message to end this amazing interview with?
The last word I would like to leave with is that there's sanctuaries all over the country, all over the world. Yeah. And Animal Place, we're just one. We're in Northern California. We're about an hour from Sacramento, our state capital, a couple hours from San Francisco. But there are so many wonderful sanctuaries. We have a site that's just very simply sanctuaries.org. And it lists all the sanctuaries that also have vegan policies, which I think is utterly crucial. Yeah. That's just for the United States. But, if you're not sure if you got a sanctuary in your area, well, of course, with Googling everything, we can find out anything we need to. But visit a sanctuary. There's a lot of them out there. Give them your support. Volunteer if they take volunteers. Take visitors there. But yeah.
Amazing.
That's my last pitch.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Kim, for choosing to be here and sharing your voice, sharing your work, and will be a hero for the animals and be a strong voice in the movement to make the lasting change on this earth, to also stop climate change. So thank you so much for being here and for your work and for who you are.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation.
You are most welcome. And bye, everyone. Have an amazing